Hello and welcome to the second session of Agon. That's how I'm still saying it, which is from Evil Hat. This is written by Sean Nittner, and my lord, I cannot remember the man who wrote Blaze in the Dark. How can I do
Harper.
that? John Harper, thank you. That's what happens when you get old. Anyway, we're playing this. We did our first session last time where we created our characters. We had our first island journey, and we're also going to be kind of taking some of the fallout from that. We didn't get to like the end phase of that, so we're going to be doing that to start out today. Two things before I get too much further. One, this session is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. That's an online gaming club. And there's also a publishing arm, so Patreon that supports that. You can check all that online. Second thing is, just so I can tell you this so that you can decide to turn the video off if you think, we have some safety tools. So the safety tools we are using, primarily, we did a CATS discussion where we talked about tone and things like that. Then we have lines and veils. And our lines today for this game are, and again, things that we're not leaning into are epidemics, harm to children, homophobia, racism, sexual assault, and torture. And then veils, meaning anything that if this were to pop up, we'll fade on it, we'll elide, move past it quickly. And that is eye injuries, graphic gore, harm to children, sexual content, and slavery. So those that we also have the X card and open door policy as additional layers to that process. So we're going to move forward. Last time, our group of heroes successfully performed their great deeds at Kairos, and were able to overthrow a proto-union and bring faith back to the island, but importantly, drive off harpies and restore a sacred object to the possession of the people who live in Kairos. So we're going to walk through the process that you do at end of session for our characters, which is called the Exodus. And the Exodus begins with essentially the Strife player saying what has happened. And it is that while the high priest did not get everything they wanted, you didn't like take all the wealth and put it into the hands to rebuild the temple. Certainly they came out on the edge. You managed to convince the people who worked in the mines that throwing away faith was dangerous, and that the gods had helped them before and they could continue to do that. And you were able to put that storm shield back into place. So it definitely is a victory for the gods and their path in all of this. And we record on our Strife sheet, we record the name of the island, Cryos, and I said returns to faith, guarded by the storms, and that's the destiny. We'll record those destinies throughout. The second thing that we do is we're going to do the great deeds, and each hero, each of you four, is going to record a great deed. Something for which your hero will be remembered from the story, a trophy or a tale or something that represents your character. And those you'll record on your sheet, and later on you can use those to gain an advantage in a contest. They always remain on your sheet because there's ways to restore them, but generally use them once, mark them, and then roll forward. So let's start with the great victor of the tales and so on, the one who fought violently through Calixtus.
Yes, silver-tongued Calixtus.
Yes. What do you see as your great deed or your trophy from that voyage?
I think it was just stealing the stone that the shield, the storm shield, from the pirate queen's hand, having bedazzled her with my use of language.
I think that is perfect. And then what about for Toxophone?
I think the great deed as well. Our other heroes floundered. Toxophone leapt between the ships and engaged the pirate queen and her horde.
Rough seas, you alone leaping across between the vessels there, the shouts as you land amongst their midst, that seems like a perfect great deed. And then what about for Nasus?
Could it be like touched by Apollo with the shield action going on?
The bright shield that you put up there? Yeah, absolutely. Is it the tail of it, or do you think it's the actual shield that you keep as a trophy?
Probably the tail of it. I'm not
Okay.
sure that the actual sword is, or the shield is a thing yet. Maybe it will. Maybe I'll get all Jason-y on it, but
Yeah,
maybe not yet. I'm working up to being Jason-y.
Okay, that works. That works for me. So everyone will have recorded that great deed, which you can call on for advantage. The next thing that we will do is we will talk about the virtues. Each hero will record virtues for their hero: acumen, courage, grace, and passion. And this is to assess the nature of your actions on the island. And in a long-running campaign, these ticks that you're about to get would be a way of determining your final fate. So it's essentially a little bit like the stash from Blades in the Dark. But let's see how we do that. And so let me see where you record those on your sheet. Oh, right down at the very bottom corner. All right. And the way this works is on your turn, when we come to you, you'll ask the other players which virtue your hero most embodied, acumen, courage, grace, or passion. And they can all say different things. And then for each one that is said, you will mark that in. Virtue.
Did Melanthius recite his deeds?
Did I forget Melanthius? I am so sorry.
That's quite right. No,
Consigned to the mists of history. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, that's fine. Yeah, so I think the most notable thing anyway for Melanthius will be his summoning of the drowned sailors from beneath the waves. So yes, I think I'm going to take his great deed as being a speaker for the vengeful dead.
That certainly is a tale to be told. Well, let's start with you then on this. Ask each of your comrades in turn what virtue they think that Melanthius exhibited in the course of this. So
yeah,
who would you start with?
I think I'm going to start with Nasus. Nasus, what virtue do you think that Melanthius showed in our?
I think maybe courage to call the undead up. A little bit risky.
Sure thing. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you very much. And Toxophony, what did she see in Melanthius's actions?
Oh, your masteries of godly magic, bringing the dead back from the deep. So resolve in spirit, everything. Oh, sorry. Acumen, I think.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you. And last but not least, Calixis. What of Melanthius's deeds did you see? Or what virtue in his deeds did you see?
I saw the great virtue of acumen. The skeletons were indeed a sharp idea, Melanthius, a sharp idea.
Thank you.
And then let us turn to Nasus. Let's have you ask each of your comrades.
Sure. So, and being touched by Apollo, what does Calixtus think of that as a virtue?
I think that, again, I would say acumen, good Nassus, to use the element of a god to distract an enemy.
No arguments here. And how about Melanthios?
I think I'm also going to go. I'm going to return the favor, and I'm going to say courage as well. I think is what I saw in Nassus. That, you know, despite not being perhaps gifted with the same blessings of the gods as his fellows, he still, you know, stood up to the greatest dangers.
And what of Toxophone?
Well, so I saw your immortal passion that was so strong that even Apollo smiled upon you.
So it was kind of like, oh, look at that little buddy going.
You go.
He's so brave. Look, he's got a spark. Oh, chuck his cheeks.
Plucky mortal.
And then Toxophone, have you inquire of your companions what they thought of your deeds?
I will. I will ask. I'll go in. What as I can see us and ask Calixtus first. When you saw Toxophone, who leapt where men dared not to, what did you think?
Oh, without doubt, Toxophone, 'twas courage.
Why, thank you. And Melanthius, my gloomy friend, what of you?
I think we actually saw some elements of grace in Toxophone. I think that the her martial prowess is you know, beyond doubt, but we saw that ferocity tempered with patience and forbearance, wielded only when it could do the most good.
Plucky, cheery cheek, Nassus, what have you?
I thought it was graceful as well. If you could have seen your thighs when you jumped.
Never miss a leg day.
Calixtus.
And what of me, my heroic companions? What did you see, Toxophone?
Oh, I saw your passion that as we fought, it was your words that actually won the battle.
And what of you, Melanthius?
I think we saw grace in Nassus as he worked for the betterment of life for all the islanders, reaching a compromise where others may not have been able to do so.
And finally, good Nassus, which virtue will you report when we reach home?
I would say it was acumen.
I thank you, my friends.
And so the ship has been repaired. The stores of water have been refilled. Honeyed wine has been provided. bread and other goods, and you have sailed back off. They have told you of some directions, but as you know, you are caught in the hands of the gods. And so you will travel out and sail, and once more the mist will surround you. And this is the segment where it kind of begins things we call the voyage segment. And this starts with that conversation of fellowship. As the four of you sit in each other's company, the sound of the waves hitting against the boat, the rowing, slow and even, and each of you will ask a question of another character, whatever question you want. They'll answer that, and then both heroes will take a bond with each other. And then we'll move on to the next hero, and they'll ask a question of someone who hasn't yet been asked. So still doing Catan style. Calixis, who do you turn to when you wish to talk of these things here in the evening? The torches are there, struck on the ship, and some light as you talk.
I think I somehow imagine Nasus is at the steering oar at the back of the ship, and so I sit on the bulwark, the side of the ship, beside Nasus, and say, Nasus, what is it like to be truly human, truly mortal?
Well, you certainly have to work a lot harder. You perhaps have less to aspire to, though. You don't have to impress the great ones as much, though you would like to. And perhaps it's a little bit more lonely.
You know, Nasus, that you are here among friends. Whatever harsh words I may have spoken, you are a hero like the rest of us.
Thank you. Did you come to that conclusion when I bore my shield?
If you were able to call Apollo to your aid, I have a suspicion there may be the blood of a god flowing somewhere in your line.
And in my mind, I'm thinking I knew it. Well, one can hope for such things, but we'll see if I can be God-touched again.
And if you attract enough attention, still there is hope of ascension.
Indeed.
You both will mark a bond with one another. And then let's go with Toxophone in this time. Who would you go to ask a question of?
I think that Toxophone seeks out Calixis and says, you wield your tongue as finely as I would a sword. What I don't understand, Calixis, is how much of what you say you believe and how much of it is a parry and a feint.
The trick with speaking is to believe it entirely when you say it, Toxophone. As you believe, you see the arrow hit the mark before you unleash it. So it is with me. At the moment that I speak, it is absolutely the truth. And belief in that is what gives the words power.
So what you believe in changes, like the currents in the water and the winds which drive us.
That's a difficult question to answer, Toxophony. But yes, I suppose that is true. We would have to test it. Perhaps that's what I'm here for.
I think I prefer my way, where their heart blood splatters on the deck.
Yes, my tongue is not so sharp as that.
Though I have no doubt that you have felled many an opponent or unsuspected lover with it.
Now you refer to my acumen again.
So you will both mark a bond with one another. Melanthios.
I think that one evening, as the sun sinks below the horizon and the twilight begins to shroud the vessel, Melanthius approaches Toxophony and takes and crouches down next to her in the hull of the boat. Toxophony, I know little of your time before the war. We have, I suppose, perhaps had opportunity, but never the cause to speak of such things before. How was your life before you came to war?
I think you misunderstand. My life has always been war.
Then what wars did you fight before our journey to, is it Kyrax?
Cryos.
Cryo.
Once I stood on the beaches of Ithaca, and there strung a bow. We fought that war for many weeks before we took what we had earned and moved on. They always begin with some slight, some lack of honor, some crime, and then they ask for those who will come to their banner.
Indeed, the words of powerful men ensure there is never a shortage of food for the crows.
Oh no, I don't fight for powerful men. I fight for those whose cause is most just and pure-hearted, after all.
Of course.
And then Nasus?
I think I would approach Melanthios, and I'm wondering, when you rose the dead, was there anyone there in particular you were hoping to see?
There was no one I would have expected to come from the bottom of the sea. And I have lost those who I would like to see again. But such minor trickeries cannot restore a person whole and intact and full of the life that once fueled them. Such a thing is, if not beyond, the power of mortals of all stripes. It is at least not so trivial a thing.
You speak as if you've tried.
We all have youthful indiscretions.
Melanthios the Bone Master.
We move forward. The next section would be us doing the sacrifice and leadership. But I actually, because of there's a weird thing to the order here, I'll talk about at the end of the thing. I'd like to talk about the Vault of Heaven. There is a sheet with the constellations. And at the end of a session, I mark stars based on which gods you favored. I think the simplest way is last time you had omens from 3 different gods, from Zeus, from Hera, and I believe from, let me look at the note here that I had.
It was either Hermes or Apollo, I think,
Yeah,
but I forget which.
Hermes, yeah.
Yeah.
So what we do is I mark those three stars on the constellations, and all of you get to mark divine favor with each of those gods.
Ooh. Where is the do we
So
get
there
to
is
see
a
that page?
sheet called Strife. I think you should all be able to see it. Let me make sure.
Oh, now I can, yeah.
Yeah,
But it just says bio and info.
It doesn't show you the character sheet?
No.
Okay, let me change. Let me edit. And let's see. Okay, now try it.
Aha! Went the crowd.
Yes, there's the permission setting from the gods.
Yeah. Zeus says you could look now.
And when you get 3 stars marked, you get a divine favor for each of those, so you can add it on. But you all also get a boon for every 3 stars that are marked on the constellations. And boons are off to the side, and that's advancing a domain die from a D8 to a D10. You can advance a D6 domain die to a D8. You can advance your epithet die. You can add another epithet. And then there's some other bonuses. Everyone will pick one of those as your boon benefit.
Sweet. Yeah, it looks like it incorporates it into your roll automatically too.
That is nice.
And
Right.
like
So as I look at that, so where there's a kind of cross through one of the diamonds for Hermes, you've put that there, though.
Yes, I have.
I see. Right. Cool.
And when you'll also get additional benefits when a particular constellation is filled, I believe, as well. But that's one of the things. Now, who has the greatest glory coming out of our last adventure? Is it Calaxis? Calaxis, what is your glory right now?
My glory is 5 times 34.
Okay. Is anyone higher than 34?
yes, I have 10.
That's the new
But
math.
each mortal glory is worth 5 demigod.
So what this is this affects our next stage, which is the sacrifice. The hero with the greatest current glory will lead a sacrifice to the gods to seek guidance and favor in their next trials. You'll kind of tell us which god you want to sacrifice to, and what you would do. Is it speeches? Is it songs? Is it food? Is it libations? Is it a blood sacrifice for the animals? What do you think? How are you leading that?
Oh, I think this has to be, an animal sacrifice. We are Bronze Age Greeks. How else would we do this? And so there's an animal sacrifice and I will sing a paean with a chorus that the entire crew can join in with, accompanying myself on the harp. And I direct this to Zeus, because I think it's time I try to get on terms with my father, because I noticed that we got a divine favor from Zeus. And therefore, it does look like Zeus noticed.
Excellent. And all of you can participate in this, and this is actually a contest that we do now. I roll a 2d6 as the strife with no strife level, so I'm going to roll that, and this domain is resolve in spirit, so I submit that, and right now target number is 3, so each of you will participate in a contest again with resolve in spirit as your domain, to show how you best honor the gods. So who will begin in this contest?
I suppose it ought to be me.
Yeah, I think so. You have the highest glory, so let us begin with you.
Hear me, O Zeus. It is silver-tongued Calixis, and I call your favor and all this crew. So I think I'm rolling 3d6.
Yes.
For 10, my top 2.
Well, you'll take your highest die will be it'll be a 10. You're right. I'm sorry, I forget it's the double. Thanks. So you come in with a 10. So you do well on that. Who next will call out to Zeus to take the steps that are proper in this? Melanthius?
Yeah, I think Melanthius will join in the chorus of praise to Zeus, and then we'll call out Zeus, who rules all that is above the ground, and the gods themselves. See our deeds and know that they are in praise of Olympus.
Excellent. Let's have you roll.
Sure thing. So I don't think my it's particularly relevant here. So I'm just going to go with my name, obviously, and my resolve and spirit.
Absolutely.
So what was the result that we're after? Sorry, the target we're after?
Target is a 3.
So I wasn't quite prepared for the number of pop-ups that came after that.
Excellent. So not quite as magnificent as spirited Calaxis, but a honorable result as well. What about you, Toxophone?
So Toxophone walks to the drum that we would use to beat the oars and says, Zeus, who is just and guides our blades, and she beats the drums with such ferocity that it sounds like thunder.
Nice.
So I would suggest my name. I could call upon pure-hearted, and this is a sign of strength, so it would be blood and valor.
It's always going to be resolve.
Oh, it's always going to be
on this one.
I understand. Right. Okay. So that will be 3d6. So it's a 3 and a 2, so it's a 5.
5. And then Nessus.
I think for resolve and spirit, I look into the animal the sacrifice's eyes until like the light goes out of their eyes, and I just try to sing in tune with everybody else, but in a way that sort of honors the beast and makes it so that I have to not flinch away from their gaze and stuff like that.
Roll.
Target numbers 3. Eight.
Excellent. So everyone succeeds on this contest. If everyone fails, that's when I start giving you divine wrath. But everyone succeeds on this. And Calaxis, once again, you have dominated in this. You will gain 3 glory because that's the target number. And everyone else will gain 2 glory because it's half rounded up because you succeeded on this. And Calaxis, you will also gain a bond with Zeus. And then the last part of this is that everybody also gets 2 more divine favor with whatever gods you wish to have divine favor with. We now have a better sense of how much divine favor you're going to get back in between.
Yeah, I would have used it probably.
Yeah, no,
I would have been like, divine favor for you, divine favor for you.
I hadn't realized that the Vault of Heaven part gave you divine favor as well. So that about doubled what I had thought it was going to be.
Do we get any fate? I'm itching to know what fate is.
Oh, so actually what it is you will clear all the pathos that you took. All of that will clear out. What pathos is sort of your strength of health throughout. When you run out of pathos, you mark agony. And when you mark agony and then you have to go past it, then it's much like suffering trauma in Blades in the Dark. That's when you mark fate. And that is essentially the very much the skein of your fate as you burn it up throughout the session. You do get things when that happens, but it is the countdown clock for your character.
And is it like Blades where we got to do an action to clear pathos?
Pathos clears in between islands.
After like no matter what?
Yeah,
it's just gone.
It'll clear that fellowship phase where you talk to each other. It clears all your pathos. You cannot clear it during the island, however. So, for example, if you run all your pathos down and hit agony, and then keep hitting agony, having to do pathos or things like that, you will burn your candle twice as brightly, Nessus. Mist. Yes.
Just a final question about the Vault of Heaven, Lo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I get that we filled in Zeus, a diamond on Zeus, Hermes, and Hera.
Yeah.
What about the three triangles attached to each of them beneath the sea?
That is wrath.
Aha! Thank you.
That's if you violate the gods' tenets on an island, or if you fail in your sacrifices. That's where those get marked.
Good to know.
So now we go to the leadership phase. This is the first beginning sort of real challenge that we go to. Last time, the ship was tossed and turned in violent waters. This time, it is more that the mist that you have been traveling through is denser, thicker, and heavier. And even though you cannot see it, you can hear the crashing and moving of rocks in the sea around you. And it is a challenge to keep off of those, to move through this. And I, again, roll a strife contest here. I roll 2d6. There's no strife level added to this. So And this is a challenge. And I think this is probably going to be either craft and reason or resolve and spirit. Actually, no, you know what? I'll let you choose what you roll on this one, because I can think of a variety of ways that you could try to help keep off the rocks or find a way. So I'm gonna leave it as any domain on this. But the target number is a 4. So
Sorry, I mechanically dense.
Yeah.
So we have filled in 3 stars on the Vault of Heaven.
Yep, and you got a boon
And
for that.
therefore we do have 1 boon.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So tell me, Toxophone, in this deep mist, the sound of the crashing rocks around, you're trying to move and navigate through this. What is it that you do to help keep the ship safe from this challenge?
And we can suggest and justify our...
Yeah, I think this is an open enough problem that I'll let you come up with a solution and choose your domain.
So, Toxophone takes to the crew that are manning the sail as we are close to the rocks. We struggle with all our strength to bring the sail down before we are scuttled on the shores.
Excellent. Let's have you roll. Does that feel like valor, blood and valor to you?
I think it's probably a sphere of strength. I'll choose my name. Do you feel it's pure-hearted or not?
What do you think? You define your
I
epithet.
suppose it's yeah, okay. In that case, it is the aim is to ensure that none of our people are lost for whatever blight that we are carrying. It is not their sin.
True.
So I've just spent my boon to put blood and valor up from an 8 to a 10.
Ooh, look at you.
I've
Min-maxing
got,
already. I love it.
I've got those muscles.
Oh yeah.
So that will be the 2d6 plus a 1d10. Boom, boom, boom. Ooh, so that will be a 6 and a 4, so a 10.
10. All right. And what about for you, Melanthius? Sorry.
Melanthius is, of course, at home in the gloom and darkness, and he stands at the prow of the ship for 3 days and 3 nights, peering into the murk to call out warnings when we approach perilous shoals. So I think I'm going to make that with my resolve and spirit for the grim determination, and I will be calling in my epithet on that. No, I'll leave it at that for now. For now. I did just pick up a point of bond with Poseidon, so I was tempted to bring that in, but I think that will do for now. That's a 6.
You do prevail, but it's a little more closer run, but you're up there calling out in the darkness. The crew perhaps even more spooked out by you, but that is as it should be. And what about for you, Nassus? How are you assisting crashing rocks, these deep mist, the ship turns?
I'm not sure what would be carried on a ship, but I'm throwing things into the ocean to see if they strike anything and try to gauge distances and stuff that way.
I like it. So does that seem like craft and reason?
I believe so. Target 4. Nine.
9.
Zeus likes
Excellent.
throwing things.
Yeah. Flinging rocks, hearing the sound, waiting to hear how long it takes for the clatter of them, doing the count on that. You will succeed. And finally, Calaxis.
Because I'm curious to see how this works. I think I am going to implore just implore the crew to believe that Zeus will protect them. So I think silver-tongued Calixis will orate and call in a boon, a bond from my father Zeus to bolster me, because I'm curious to see what happens. How does that work?
That's a good question. Let me look at the bonds notes here. What it says of those, I have that right here on my many pages of printed notes. Bonds. Well, I think it does. I think you can. You would borrow their die, right? That's one of the things is to bolster you. So I think if you burn a bond with a god, I think it makes sense that that is a D10 for calling on them. Does that make sense?
I think it might be a D12 actually.
12,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay, D12.
Yeah. Ooh, wow.
But of course, the gods are fickle, and it is a D12.
It is. It is. You know. Okay, so I think that's 2d6, d8 for arts narration, and Zeus. That is a 14.
Still good. A couple of ones there. I was excited for a second. So, Calixis, you will have leadership in this next island as well. You will gain 4 more glory, while everyone else will gain 2.
Ooh, I broke the glory ceiling by 1.
So
What happens then?
When you hit 40 glory.
I see. There's a little checkbox next to it that says 40.
Yeah.
And then I clear everything else, I guess.
Well, let me see here. So let me look at the glory. So on the glory track, there are special markers for certain glory amounts, 80, 120, and 240. When you hit one of those numbers, 80, 120, or 240, you will advance your name die.
Yeah.
And at that point, you reset it.
Yeah, but so the 41 is just to say I'm now on 41, so I've marked 40, cleared everything, and I'm down to 1 in the detailed glory track. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, it's got the that for it's like the extra scoring marker in a board game. So you will get that glory, and as you are traveling Toxophone, as the mists thin out, as you can kind of tell, maybe you're getting closer, you will have a vision, and you can tell that it comes to you from Artemis, and of course the goddess of the hunt, and there's a vision you have. You know it is Artemis, the slayer of monsters. And in this vision, you see a serpent, its head severed. But even though its head is severed, it is still venomous, even in death. And then Nasus, I think because you called upon him last time, you will have a sign, a vision that you will receive from Apollo, the god of medicine, and the god of secret knowledge. And you will have a vision of a torch that is lit up, that blazes in the darkness. The world around it is dark, but it is this torch, it is this blaze of light, of knowledge that illuminates the area around. And those are the two visions that you have. How would you relate what you have seen, Toxophone, to your fellows?
Can you smell that in the mist? We're approaching an island of trial. There are monsters here that even in death, even severed, they will not die. This place is dangerous, but we will do glorious things here. And I'll take that moment to put my arm around Nassus and smile. We'll make a man of you.
And Nassus, how do you tell of what you've seen?
There is a blazing knowledge in the darkness, and we need but take it. Just like the name of that man that stole fire from the gods for us, that I forget it, is now getting speared over and over, and the liver's getting eaten. Just like that, except we'll be good and survive and win.
Somewhere in the distance, Prometheus winces.
Prometheus, yes.
And the mist will part, and you will see a beautiful island. You can see it is perhaps more spacious than the last that you've seen. There is a town, more of a city. You can see marble walls, a palace there. You can see that there are clearly temples on the island, and there are woods and so on. And as you pull in, you'll definitely get the carried on the air, the smell of incense and burning sandalwood and all of those kind of fragrant, perhaps more fragrant than usual you might guess. And as your ship pulls in, there will be an old harbor master who will come and shout and will say, "Greetings, heroes! You are in time. You are well met."
In time for what?
I assume you are here to visit to the king and queen?
Yes, of course, old friend. But what is the name of this island? For we knew that there was a king and queen, but we did not know of what.
Oh, this is Nemos. It is ruled by wise King Telemarios and beautiful Queen Naya.
Well then, send word ahead, for we are come to pay them court.
And he says, "Well, I will call a young man to take you to the palace." He shouts for one of the young carriers here who will come, and he'll then he's starting to make the arrangements with your helmsman for getting the water resupplied and all that. And this young man will come and will say, will you follow me?
Lead on.
And you will walk through the streets of the town. I think all four of you will pick up that it's a little more somber than you would have expected. Here you are in midday. You notice that the markets are not open. You notice that people are a little more quiet here. as you come along, and you will.
I ask our guide. It seems quiet for the middle of the day.
Most people are there at the palace to view the games today.
There are games.
Yes, yes.
Well, let us hurry.
And he will lead you forward, up marble steps, sort of seaside walk up, as you come up until you see this great palace. You can see that adjoining the palace is a kind of amphitheater, clearly for games. Though you expect to hear like the shouts and whoots of a crowd, but you're not hearing that. And instead, as you come in, you can see that the palace itself, there are many people there, and now you will see that many people are in mourning clothes, and that there seems to be some kind of funeral going on.
Melanthius will fit right in.
Yes. For once, Melanthius is the one who looks most appropriate to the occasion, and you will see that there are priests up by the throne. You can see the king and queen seated there, and you don't see a body, which is a little unusual. There would normally be, the body would be presented and so on, but you see that people are performing the rites. This is where some of that smoke and incense is coming from here, and you hear that like the bronze gongs are being struck as you move through, and a runner will go and runs up to the king, and he looks up and he says, "There are, my love, there are guests who have come, heroes." And the queen looks, and the king looks to where you are, and will gesture for the four of you to come forward.
What do we make of this, friends? This is not a games as I have seen them.
This is no game.
I would wager they are looking for a champion to kill a serpent.
Maybe they're looking
Melanthius.
for a torch.
Melanthius, what do you sense of this place?
They are clearly in mourning for something, though what? We shall have to see.
That's very profound, Melanthius.
Come forward, heroes, come forward.
I kind of look at the others as if to say, moi? And so I guess that we'll stride up the marble steps towards the twin thrones of Nemos.
Can I just check something there? Because
Sure.
am I correct in that Capricious won the challenges leading
Yes.
right now? And how do you steal leadership? this isn't a silken words type of deal. So I'm gonna try that. I want to try that mechanic.
Oh, let me look and see how.
I think it's a bond, right?
Yeah, I think you burn spend a bond, and you can take leadership.
Then I'm going to do just that as Toxophone puts her hand out onto Calaxis's chest and says, "No, Calaxis, this is not a time for soft words. This is a time for sharp spears."
After you, Toxophone. I hope this works well.
Come, heroes.
I'll follow the lead.
Saxophone, if you move forward, he will look and he will say, who are you?
I am Toxophone. This is Melanthios, Calaxus, and Nassus. We are returning from the war. The currents have brought us here. And perhaps the gods as well. How may we help you, great King Telemarius?
Well,
You seem in sorrow.
you've arrived as we are conducting the funeral rites for my son, the prince. We are undertaking those even now, but the gods may have sent you because afterwards we will be holding games in his honor. Perhaps that is why you have been sent to honor us and participate in these games.
May I ask you, as king, what fate befell your son?
And there's kind of a murmur there, and the queen says, "Our son fell ill and died. This is not the time or place to speak of that."
Of course.
Will you come and join us as we finish these ceremonies, you and your three companions?
Yes, perhaps we should stop interrupting the funeral.
Toxophone, why not offer words of praise?
Well, Calaxus, to participate in the games in their honor would be the greatest praise that we could give.
You will note that the priest who has been leading this thing, and again, absent a body, has kind of turned and is certainly eyeing you for oddly, like this interruption is untoward, clearly not happy with the ceremony being disrupted or your presence in this. And he will say, if we could.
I'll go sit down or whatever everyone else is doing and distance myself from them.
And they will return to the rituals here, and you can see that people are speaking the words. There's more incense burnt, and then they will sort of finish up that ceremony, and you can tell throughout this that the king is clearly he is saddened by the loss of his son, but he has that look of a man who has other things weighing upon him. He is uneasy on the throne as this process goes on, and the queen keeps eyeing him, like trying to ascertain what he will do, even as the priest and then his acolytes come forward, and they will move and finish up the ceremonies here. For all of the mourning and all of the sort of the dourness of the people here, you will notice the nobles, the king, the queen, so on, all look remarkably healthy, strong, fit. Certainly, while emotion may have weighed them down, they do seem like they must live good and healthy lives to be as bronze-skinned and mighty thewed as they are. So, does anyone want to do anything during that ceremony, or immediately afterwards, as they could take that time between that and moving on to doing sort of the first stage of these games?
I would like to have a conversation with Melanthios.
Absolutely. You can take a moment to slide
Mhm.
off to the side and speak privately.
Melanthios, my companion, it strikes me that a young, fit man in a place like this would not just die. He may. Do you feel like that he may have crossed the sticks in a strange way? Is it within your power to find out what fate befell them? And perhaps this serpent was not as literal as I first thought. Perhaps this serpent is someone here.
Perhaps I might be able to learn more of his passing through the final portal. When the fates have measured our time on this world, there is nothing that may be done to change it. But the events leading to that are often still held in mortal hands.
Aye, indeed, Melanthios, but sometimes it is necessary for those of us who bear a blade to act as furies.
Quite so.
I would like to be just playing a very kind of subdued melody that on the harp that fits with the tone of the event.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of, I think, offer some succor to the Queen and King. And it's almost, it's kind of background music. You don't know it's there, but it calms people.
Are you trying to engage in a contest to demonstrate your sincerity or change the heart of the king or queen?
I think that I want to put ourselves on the right side of the Queen in particular.
All right. Then let us. I think that's either arts and oration or resolve and spirit versus
I think arts,
the queen.
yeah.
Okay. So certainly, I will roll for the queen's heart in all of these matters here, and she also gets. So it does that. And is there a way to get another? Da, da, da. So I will roll her, and this is arts and oration. So target number is a 13 to essentially get her attention and gain her focus.
Yes, that's quite a challenge. I think that as I hum a melody over the harp, silver-tongued Calixis begins to weave words of calming into the ceremony, and so I think I'm rolling 2d6 and a d8, and I am going to burn my favor with Demeter to add conviction to this.
Okay.
8, 9, 10. Damn your eyes.
So mark pathos. You will gain a glory. And there is a moment in the ceremony when you are playing and you're kind of going through it, and her hand comes up and she stops the ceremony. And she will turn to you and she will say, "Your foreign words are not welcome here. Calaxis. Please mind your tongue while my son is being honored.
And I slink away with my harp between my legs.
Nessus, what are you doing? You see Toxophone and Melanthius kind of speaking about what their next step is. Calaxis gets shut down, and like people are murmuring, like, "Oh, how rude!" It's Serpent's prejudice.
I want to be looking for signs of the gods to see how they favor this. What is happening here? If there's any, divine signs to show, like, if they care one way or the other about what's going down at this funeral, perhaps.
Well, you've already gotten the signs from your gods. How are you taking that into your own hands here on the ground? Are you moving around trying to investigate or talk with the people about what's going on?
Ooh, how about I go to who's the god of knowledge again? Is it Apollo as well?
Apollo is
it is Apollo. Apollo's got like eight things. Maybe I go to the temple of Apollo to ask people there instead of at the funeral.
Absolutely. So you'll make your way out to go and speak with people about these things. I don't like how that works. That's interesting. I want to roll here. So that's a D8 and a D6. Why is it going to do it? There we go. All right. So this is you kind of heading out, and you will definitely notice that as you head out, there are priests out and about, and perhaps there are people that are keeping an eye on you throughout this process. So I will set the difficulty for this contest, which is a 10.
Oh, okay. So what I want to do is I think I make it. How can I make it clear that I'm for Apollo? I think I would make my way respectfully to the Temple of Apollo and observe the rites. And whoever was there, see if they were open to hearing the story, and I would tell them the story of how I was touched by Apollo, and he gave me a vision, and I'm seeking to know if my suspicion is that there's some knowledge to be had here and rooted out and is being stomped down.
Let's have you roll.
Do you think that's craft and reason?
I think it's absolutely craft and reason.
And I'll divine favor. I have a lot of that because I haven't spent any. Oh, I'll do a touch, a little dash of authority from Zeus in there.
That sounds good.
And I guess I just put 1 in there then. Oh, it's an 8 though. Zeus wasn't having it.
That is an 8. So you're going to mark a pathos. And you will find yourself like blocked, like you go to the Temple of Apollo and the priest there is like, the temple is closed while the honored rites are going on. Return back to the ceremonies.
I see how it is.
And it's just, you get this shiver, like the pressure is being put against you. And you realize just how exposed you are out here, apart from your companions, alone in a strange city. Maybe you've made some enemies already, and you begin to quicken your pace back to the funerary rites, because anything could happen to a man alone in the city like this.
At least immortal.
Yeah. So let's return to Toxophone. Melanthios, you have a step you wish to do here.
I think once the rites that the priest is leading have concluded, Melanthios will approach the throne and kneel before them, and say, "My lord, my lady, I of course mean no dishonor to your esteemed priest here, but I am Melanthios, scion of Hecate, and if there is anything I may do in order to ease the passing of your son's soul into the world beyond, then it would be I would be failing in my duty to my mother if I did not make that offer."
Let us have you roll. Let me see if I can set this here. Let's have you roll. This does. You feel like this is art narration, or you feel like this is craft and reason trying to convince? What do you feel like?
I feel probably more in the tone of arts narration. I think it's been kind of quite formal in this, but I think he will. I think I will be spending a point of pathos to draw my what do you call it? A resolvent spirit into this, as he kind of brings that supernatural element of his personality into play.
Your target number is a 10 right now.
Certainly. That's a 12.
You prevail. So first of all, give yourself 10 glory. And you do this in such a way that when you start to turn and speak to this thing, you can tell that at first the priest is perhaps going to say something, but then it's kind of turns and looks at the queen, and the queen looks and they're expecting like you to press hard on this, but the way you say this and the way that the crowd, like there's something you draw on, maybe some suspicion or maybe some nervousness amongst the crowd, and the priest says, certainly we cannot deny a scion of Hecate their moment in the sun, as it were. And what is it that you would need, fair Melanthius? He says fair in that way that he knows that it is a sarcastic comment.
I would I think as I would be happy to prepare the body for
the body has already been prepared. He kind of interrupts on that, but if you wish to come, and it kind of stops himself, if you wish to come and pay vigil this evening,
Of course, whatever I
then
may
there
do.
is nothing that I could do to prevent you from doing such a thing.
Then I shall, anything that may ease the passing of a spirit of so noble a soul taken so young.
Then please come to the Temple of Apollo when darkness falls.
Of course, it would be my pleasure.
Toxophone, the queen looks at you and says, "You look like more of a warrior than any of the men here on this island."
Your words flatter me and honor my ancestors.
"You are blessed to have arrived here, hero," she says, clearly working to turn away attention from Melanthios's and Galax's various intrusions and faux pas. And she says, "Will you do us the honor of the first combat in these games?"
I would, yes. If this will bring honor to the memory of your son, and I would gladly fight in your games.
Then food will be provided, and let us all move to the arena so that we can witness this. And she will say, "I will have my armsmen come to you and see to your needs." And you'll see an old, essentially spear carrier come over to you and lead you over to the kind of fighters area, and to get yourself together. And they move everyone in a kind of a ceremonial way over to the stands there, as the priests go around and begin to mark and anoint the grounds there, casting salt and oil on the sand to mark it out properly. And you will see there are a number of these bronzed, strong, angry-eyed warriors there who gather themselves together to, I think you will see they are brought some what's clearly like ceremonial wine to drink that is not proffered to you. Instead, there is a more conventional wine that is brought to your hands for you to drink. And then one of these big men, still not as tall as you, will march out into the center of the grounds and plants his feet as the king and queen do the gesture. And when you go to fight hand to hand, and you're an expert bow person, what is the weapon of choice that you bear when you fight hand to hand?
Oh, it's a sword when you get that close. So yes, I think whoever this person is that stands across from them, bow and say, "I am Toxophone, pure-hearted, daughter of Demeter. Who do I have the honor of competing against?"
My name is Antagonus. I am a child of this island, and I am your doom. And slaps his sword against the piece of armor on his shoulder, and wild-eyed comes racing at you. And I will roll for him. And this is blood and valor, of course. And your difficulty is a 10, and this task is perilous, which means you will suffer additional pathos. should you fail, should you suffer.
Well, the man is clearly a brute, and he's not fighting here for honor. I identified myself. I'm using blood and valor. But the sheer rudeness of the man
Yes.
means that the ferocity of Ares will guide me. Let's see if I can use the fancy one. So the target number is 10, right?
Yep.
And pure-hearted. I'm using. In fact, I think let's blow this. I want to take him down in a single blow. I'm going to spend a point of pathos to show my resolve and spirit.
Excellent.
And I'm spending 1d4 for my. Ooh. Hold on a minute. It's about spend divine favor is last. So look, I'm gonna say 0 in that, and that should hopefully. My result is 10.
Oof. It is a close run thing. He's faster and stronger than you would have expected. You have the ability to judge men, you size them up, and there's something unusual about him. He's definitely wickedly strong and fast, and you will just edge it out. But tell me what the blow is that strikes him down.
I think as the our blades lock and we stare at Ironheart, he's stronger than me, but there is just a sharp headbutt from Taxonify that smacks and cracks his nose, and he goes rolling back, to which there is a sword followed by that to the back of the head.
Perfect.
And she sort of smiles and says, "A face as pretty as that is not used to being hit, is it?"
You have dropped him. The crowd will cheer. The queen looks unamused, and the king looks he like he has other things on his mind throughout this. But you will gain 10 glory for striking down this foe in single combat.
So it's not the second son then?
No. We will take our break now. Let's take a 5 or 6 minute break, and when we come back, we will move on to the next segment here. Pause recording. So, Toxophone, you are celebrated. You know there is a victory of amphora of wine that is brought to you for this first round, and you can tell that there will be more games today, and tomorrow, you'll move up in the bracket. Is anyone else wish to fight in the arena as well?
Oh yeah, I need to get some glory, like glory less.
So you do make it back. You are not set upon on the way back, Nasus. So you wish to enter your name into it. There is a pause where the queen looks and says, "Well, yes, I suppose you can enter."
Great.
And Toxophone, do you give Nasus any advice before the conflict there?
Don't get hit. They will not treat you as an equal. They do not know your name. Show them and no mercy and treat them like an enemy.
Is this a bloodshed tournament?
This, yes.
Okay, cool.
It can be to the wounds or to the death.
Interesting.
And once again, good standard wine is brought for you, Nasus. While it does seem like maybe the other warrior drinks another kind of wine, and marches out there, hulking, ready, spear at hand. And I'm going to roll for your perilous foe here. Look at that. You could get 11 glory.
I could. Okay, well, I'm gonna use my touch by Apollo shield, and I too have a spear. Sun. So let's see. So blood and valor, right? And target number 11. My many wade. I'm gonna try to expose a weakness in him by tempting him from afar with my spear.
Okay.
And then go for the strike.
Okay.
I just keep probing. I'm a prober.
Are you invoking a divine favor at all?
I'm going to use a pathos to use craft and reason.
Okay.
And oh yeah, how did the great deeds? If I use my touch by Apollo-ness?
If you use your touch by Apollo-ness, you can get an advantage die of I think we'll say a D8 sounds like a good one for that deed.
Okay, I'll do that. And I'll also use daring from, or no, wait. I'll use cunning. Sounds more like cunning from her, Hera.
Okay.
Come on, baby. Yeah. 13.
Oh. So you do come in. That's the thing is you, unlike Toxophone went in and within seconds, this man was on the ground. Toxophone, I assume, was stunned that he lasted that long. But you, Harry, this person, you're moving around like Theseus, probing, going, hitting lightly, and he gets angrier and angrier, and he starts to sweat at some point, and then he kind of loses his footing, and that's when you can go and tell me what that final strike looks like.
When he's coming at me, I think I sidestep and then place the spear so that it crosses across his chest.
Yeah. And are you going to finish him, or are you just wounding?
Oh yeah, I finish him. Everyone's been treating me like a bitch here. So
okay. So you will strike and hit him, and he will fall. And once again, the crowd does cheer for you. You're an honest victory in this. And once again, you will see the queen looks a little displeased. You can see the priest, Hakan, goes over and has a word with the queen, or rather the queen calls him over to have a word with him. And he nods and bows and so on.
And so do I erase that great deed now?
Yep. Well, you put a mark by it. You can do things to restore that, but generally we mark it, and it's usually used just once.
Okay. Sounds good.
Melanthius, Calaxis, do either of you wish to fight in these arena games?
No, I think Melanthius will politely decline. This isn't really his speed.
And Calaxis?
Whereas Calaxis is up for it.
Okay. There's a pause, and the queen says, your musician also wishes to fight in the arena? Turns to you, Toxophone. You have a fighting minstrel?
We're all veterans of war. It would be It would be foolish to think that Calexis is only a musician.
Well,
I
we will
would be
see.
proud to see him fight and honor your son.
While
Right.
Calixtus is thinking, hubris, thy name is hubris.
And once again, wine, drinking, and another one of these barrel-chested, angry warriors from the island comes out. Now he has something to prove. Two of his brethren have fallen to the outsiders, and the third one, and a skald who was scolded earlier. He's certainly angry and ready for this.
Let's see how angry.
Let's see. Blood and valor. Only a 10 angry.
Well, I am a silver tongue, and so Calixtus is dressed in his, his knee-length togery thing, with no armor, no shield, just whirling his sling effortlessly, and I'm going to start taunting him, because I took a boon in Blood and Valor, so I'm going to kill him. But I'm going to make it painful first. So how do I get to invoke a second domain? Spend a pathos.
Spend a pathos.
Okay, let's go for that. So that's 2d8s. The silver-tongued will be taunting him. So that's 2d6, 2d8. And I will tell him how I scooped the Hera's Stormstone from Thesceria, the Pirate Queen's hand.
Give you an additional D8.
So that's 2d6 plus 3d8, in fact.
Look at all these dice. There's almost no chance you could fail.
Indeed. And I think this is a cunning plan to annoy. So I'm going to cash in one of my favors with Hera. For an extra plus 1d4. Okay, rock and roll. 11, 12, 13.
So what's
14,
your two highest plus your D4?
Yeah, so that's 11 plus 3.
Look at that, 14. So you taunt, you harry. Again, these there is a certain amount where the angrier they get, the clearer, the more they burn through their energy. And how is it that you land that final blow? So quietly, silent like the night.
You're muted.
As the spear comes in, I think there's a bit of bullet time, so we see Calixtus just lean back, and the spear goes across the front of him, and then he grabs it, somersaults over the top, turns, and catches him straight between the eyes.
Oof. And he will drop, and there'll be another huzzah that will go up from the crowd, and from the queen at your victory there, but 10 glory to you. Let's cut to the four of you having a chance, like at the celebratory evening meal. Torches are around, food is arrayed out for you there, for you, the four of you, to kind of talk and consult with one another as darkness falls over the island. Does that sound fair?
I just want to be clear. Was there a body?
You have not seen a body yet.
No, I didn't think we'd seen a body. So he's died, but there's no body. What's that about?
Oh man, if we open that funeral thing, there's going to be like a fruit in there or something.
I hope that I may see the body this evening when I stand vigil, but it is possible it has already been disposed of or lost in some other way.
Should we go with Melanthius? Discreetly watch his back.
These people don't seem kind, that's for sure.
Or sharing. If I were suspicious, I would believe that there is something in their wine.
If they... I suppose if you wish to observe discreetly, I would not object, of course. I do not feel that I would be at risk in a temple to the gods unless things here have come to a very bad state. I doubt they would be so proud as to strike down the child of a god in a temple.
I've seen stranger things and children being offered up to gods to make peace for past misdeeds. Are we sure that the child is dead?
Maybe they're hiding the child from an angry, vengeful god? Or attempting to?
Perhaps, though, holding a funeral for one still living would seem a great temptation to the fates.
The king
Well,
is hiding something, and so is the queen, though perhaps different things.
So, to the temple grounds at dusk.
Unless it is worth taking an audience with the king and understanding what is troubling them.
Could certainly split up.
Maybe one of us can ask for an audience with each to get them separate. Seems like kings have been known to hold their tongue around certain wives.
I think I've burned my bridges with the queen.
Yeah, she doesn't seem too pleased with me either, to be honest. But she doesn't need to be pleased, just distracted.
I don't really care if I've offended her or not, so I shall speak to the queen.
So I'll speak to the king,
Okay.
and Nasus, you'll watch Melanthius' back. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll watch for slippery priests.
Right. Well, let's start with Melanthius and Nasus. As you head back to this temple of Apollo that you were barred entry to before Nasus, and you will arrive, Melanthius, and there are some of the priests there. They eye you oddly as you come. And you will come inside, and definitely as you move, you see the classic markings and earthenware that has been painted with the signs and ritual objects and things, but it all seems somewhat off. And you will see that Priest Han is there. He sees you and Nasus. And you can see that there is a wrapped body on the altar, and there's a variety of burning incense and sandalwood around. And Harkon will, he's been pushed to this, and he's still kind of accepting this, and he will say, Are you also privy to the secrets of the dead, good Master Nassus?
More like I walk closely to somebody who is privy.
My companion was recently visited by the great god Apollo, and we felt it only fitting that he come here to offer his personal praise to the god on the young master's behalf.
As he says.
Well then, let's see what you wish to do here. And what is it you want to do?
So, I think that I think that Melanthius is going to genuinely undertake the necessary rites and rituals to that would be expected in a for a funeral in this manner. So because it is important to what he does.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he might also attempt to communicate with the spirit of the dead prince.
So this seems like resolve in spirit.
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay. You are opposed in this.
Can I help with a bond?
So in a contest like this, you've got two choices. You can also participate, or you can sit out to offer support, in which case you give them a copy of your domain die.
Sure, I'll do that.
You gain a bond and a glory.
Ooh, get that bond, get that glory. I'll do that.
Right, and this is strife, and this is on resolve in spirit. It is a 10. It is
excellent.
Perilous and a sacred.
So you get an extra D6 from me.
Perfect, thank you. And I wonder if maybe that help is kind of NASA's sort of running interference with the priests whilst he's doing his thing. So I will, and I think kind of as he's like praying and holding vigil over the body, he will just sort of bend down over the body and whisper quietly into the corpse's ear. Before you journey beyond this realm, tell me what brought you to this place and what I may do for you. I'm going to invoke my Speak for the Vengeful Dead great deed. And I think I will also invoke my my divine favor with Hecate for insight.
Let's see it.
That is a 10.
So close. So the good news is you're going to get 10 glory. And I think in the course of these hours of vigils, you will notice a few things. One, you definitely see some of the priests of Harkon come and go, but not out the front way. Like, you're pretty sure, you have a pretty good eye for this, that there must be another set of passages or something that they're using to go back and forth. And I think the thing that you will see kind of in your vision, as you kind of look at the body, is I think you will see the mouth of the corpse kind of shift just a little. And I think you will see this tiny wisp like the venom of a snake kind of float up into the air. And you know that the prince was poisoned. And he was poisoned. And you kind of realize, a serpent's poisoned. And I think that's the moment you'll kind of, when you're looking around, you've seen these priests of Apollo that are around and so on, which they have the various sigils and things. And you realize how much the sigils, while they're sigils of Apollo, are just been slightly altered. So they all have a slightly serpentine look to them. Let us cut to Taxophone, who is seizing the reins. You won today. You won a victory. You're an outsider. You're a hero. So if you ask for an audience with the queen, she will grant that. She has some servants and handmaids around. We're in a good marbled room. We can hear the fountain outside. Light pillows and things, or olives presented there for you, and she's asked you to tell some stories of where you came from to start out. What is it you want to do here? What's your goal here in this scene with her?
I think my goal is to try and get her to reveal what is troubling her, for she seems displeased with everything.
So does that seem like a art narration, or does it seem like Clafton reason for trying to do this?
I think it will be craft and reason, knowledge and creativity. For I'm going to ask and say that my mother lost a child to the underworld before their time as well, and I am here should you wish. I cannot believe that it is just an ill wind that brought us here. It is a fortune. What worries you so, and how can I help you to put your son to an Elysian rest rather than torment?
Ooh, only an 8. She rolled very badly. Yes, she did.
So, I am going to, because I do at this point care for her, so I am acting with a pure heart. I am still Toxophone. I am using craft and reason, but I would also like to use the cunning of Hera to see if she will spill her guts.
Fair enough.
So that's a 9, 10.
So you're going to gain 8 glory for this thing. And she comes and she has you sit close to her. And she says, it is a tragedy to lose a child. No one would wish that. But you come from the land of the Amazons. You know that the male children are perhaps not as valuable as people think. But you're a woman, you understand these things. You understand how we have the right insight to manage things. I think it is not an ill wind that brought you here. I think it is fortune. I think that you should stay here. Let your friends go on if they survive. Let your friends go on and travel, and you stay here. And I have gifts that I can give you. Blessings. I have a draught, a drink that will keep your beauty as it is today for years to come. How old do you think I am? You've seen my white bearded husband? He is only 10 years my senior. And I am a visage of youth and beauty.
A powerful portent indeed, then. And what will happen when the king's bones grow tired and he passes and you have no son?
You are young. Why not a princess? Who needs a prince?
That would be a great honor indeed.
Well, think on it. You seem like a sharp one.
I will smile at that. Yes. Keep her company for a while to ensure that
Absolutely.
Calaxis has time to loosen the king's tongue.
Calixus, you ask to speak with the king. There's clearly some pushback, like people are like want to protect him and are worried about him and so on. But I think that you can make your way there, and you wish to present yourself as a friend.
Absolutely.
I think this is actually, and you may need to use pathos to bring your other thing, but I think this is to be resolved in spirit. I think we are talking about those kinds of issues. Does that seem fair?
Yeah. That's okay. So Lord King, you seem as though the weight of the world is upon your shoulders, and I understand that you have lost a son, but there seems more to it than that.
Does there need to be more to it than a man to lose his only son?
I am a scion of Zeus. I know the weight of kingship, and you carry a great weight, a worry perhaps, a worry that if shared might perchance be lessened. Fate brought us here for a reason, King.
Difficulty is innate to convince him of your true intentions.
I think Silvertown still applies.
Oh yes, most definitely.
So I think it's 3d6 to start with, using reason. What do we want to throw in here? I think I've just been terribly wise. So I will burn a favor with Athena to get me a 1d4. Fingers crossed. 8, 9, 10. No, in fact, 11.
So you'll gain 8 glory. and there is that bit where you speak and you talk with him like a true friend, like no one else has spoken to him in this, and looks at you and goes, perhaps it is right that the gods sent you here to lift some of the shadow that lies upon my heart these days. My son was young. I still don't know how he died. The priest, Agon, my wife said it was an illness, but I feel like there is something else to this, but I cannot say, and I fear that I have less control of this island than I did once. Certainly my son was my eyes and ears, even if he did not listen to me.
Who is your heir now?
I have no heir. My queen will succeed me should I pass. We would have to send to another island to find someone from my family tree to take this, a cousin perhaps on Hephaestus. But that is
That
my
is far
wife
in the
is my wife
future.
is my wife is wise. She will find a way through on these things.
A young wife is always a bounty, Lord King.
Young?
Well, anyone who would look upon her would see her to be but a young woman in her prime. You were lucky to marry to find such a young woman.
She's but 10 years my junior.
Dun dun dun.
Done.
Scene.
Yeah. Gain a bond with him. Shall we bring the four of you together in conversation here, as you make your way through the streets, looking over your shoulders? Certainly, the sense that there are priests around and about trying to watch and monitor your every move. But we'll find you in the chambers in the palace that have been provided to you by the king and queen, where you can speak at least reasonably privately. Melanthios, what do you tell them of what you saw?
The prince, it seems, was killed by poison. I recognized its touch upon him, tasted it on his lips. I believe the priests know of this, and there are some odd signs in their garb and in their temple that point towards them honoring some serpent, which, whilst not inherently suspicious, is not something I would associate with followers of Apollo. I think there may be a hidden place concealed beneath their temple also.
I think so too, because Apollo sent word to me, or a vision anyway, that a torch was burning surrounded by darkness, and that would fit with a layer below.
Oh, it is more than they were poisoned. They were poisoned by their mother. They were poisoned because they were found wanting. This sorceress holds her people in sway through some poison draught, and that is why they would not share the wine with us. And her husband, well, I am sure that Calaxis will reveal what he has found. But this queen, this Naya, offered me the throne in her son's stead.
That fits with what the king told me. I think that he fears that his grip on his kingdom is declining. The hard question we have to answer is, do we take a side in this?
Well, the side will be taken, Calaxis. I'll put my hand on his shoulders. For my spirit and my direction does not deviate with the wind. This Medean tragedy of a mother who has killed her sons, she will die. The gods demand this.
You are not tempted at all, Toxophone?
No. Why would I want to stay here when I could travel the seas with the three of you?
It is true, we are most entertaining company.
You
Some
would be
crimes are unforgivable, and this is one of them.
plus who would want to govern such a sad lot? So should we raid the temple now?
Or just kill the queen?
Also, yes, I think if the priests are willing to assist a queen in the murder of a prince, then what is to stop the prince from becoming a king themselves? For the priest from becoming a king themselves?
We must assume that anyone who's drunken of her wine is in her thrall. So should we kill her or destroy the temple? I ask you, dear friends. Why not both?
Both is good.
But
We
where to
divide our
start?
efforts. Do we divide our efforts or put one after the other?
Unless I can convince her to take me to this temple as if I have accepted her offer. And then you strike alongside me and we cut them all down. I promise by my oath and name that this is not a betrayal.
That's an outstanding plan.
So this seems like we're moving into the battle, which starts with a clash, which I'm guessing, Toxophony, it's you convincing the queen to lead you down there, and the others setting up and moving quietly to follow up on this thing. Does that seem like the right way to handle that?
Sure.
What we do here is you're going to choose your domain for the clash, and this is the thing that we do to kind of set up to get an advantage die and to generate some more glory here for this. Let us begin with Toxophone. Tell me how you want to describe what you are doing here to get this advantage, to get this good position here.
Just before you do that, can the three of us be slinking away, discussing how we wish we were there to see pure-hearted Toxophone tell a lie?
Touche. Yes, I think that is appropriate. Toxophone, tell me what it is you're going to do here.
Well, I am doing this from purity. I am doing this with my name. I am doing this for I will leap where men will not. And I am going to show because they say, how is your strength to deal with your courage shown? Can I do that? But I think no. This must be craft and reason. It must be trickery or intrigue, where I will say that I have considered whether to accept your offer or to travel onwards with my comrades, and I have sent them on their way. They will depart with the tide, and I will stay and serve you, my queen.
Excellent. So I'm going to roll, and this will be the difficulty for this clash for everyone. And I put it on any domain, and I submit. and this difficulty is a 12, and it is perilous. Taxifone.
So, I am going to spend a point of pathos to bring in my blood and valor, because this is courage that I am doing this alone without my comrades to defend me. And I'm doing this before I believe that we are here to right this wrong. So as my mother was wounded by Hades, I will show my conviction. So all in all, that is 3d6 plus d10. What did we say a great deed added?
A D8.
Nice. So that is 14.
14. All right. So let me get everybody's results, and then we'll kind of narrate the how this goes here. Let's come next to Melanthius.
Yeah.
How are you sneaking or providing the intelligence to find what to make your way in? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I think Melanthius garbs himself in a cloak of night and slips silently through the streets of the city of Nemos to watch out for threats that might come to them, and yeah, to keep an eye on these meddling priests.
That seems fair. Let's have you roll that. Our difficulty is a 12.
Sure thing. Yeah, I think I am going to spend a point of pathos as well to bring in my resolve and spirit as I draw upon the darkness. And yeah, I think I'm actually going to spend one of my bonds with Nasus as I already trust Nasus to have my back whilst we are taking on these people. Oops. Click the wrong one. Right. Let's start again. That's a 13.
13. Not enough to beat Toxophone, but a victory nonetheless, which of course means that when all is said and done, you're going to be getting 12 glory. But we'll come back on that. What about you, Nasus?
I hatch a plot to what I do is to lure the princess into a state of ease is I make sure that both the king is spirited away on some other thing. Like I send a servant to take him to an urgent summons or something, but I leave the candle burning and have another servant maneuvering around. So as they traverse the path, she can look and see that her husband is safe and out of the way into his little place there.
I like it. Let's have you roll. Target number is still a 12.
Many wade, craft and reason, I think. And I will. So because it's perilous, I want to probably try pretty hard, right? Otherwise, I take some pathos.
Yep.
Double pathos or something.
Double pathos. Two
Double pathos all the way. What does it mean? Okay. And I will add in my resolve and spirit by spending 1 pathos. And let's see what happens. Oh, I'll spend a divine favor for ingenuity from Hephaestus. Yes, 15. Woohoo!
15. All right. And finally, Calixtus.
I think that I can't see Silver-Tongued playing here at this point because I need to sneak somehow to the temple. So this is Calixtus using blood and valor because I think I'm being brave, not using my gob. So that's a D6 and a D8. I think I am going to call in my debt with the king to find out the best way to get there.
So does that seem like maybe a D10 for the bond spending?
Okay. And then I think I'm going to call in a bond with Melanthios to bolster me, and I hope extend his cloak of darkness in my direction, which
Perfect.
I think gives me his name dice, doesn't it?
That it does, yes.
And I think I'm then going to call in a bond with Nasus, who is many-wayed. And when we come to a fork in the road, I follow Nasus's lead.
That seems right.
So I think that's 3d6, a d8, and a d10. That is 9, 10, 11. No, hang on.
Two highest.
That is 11, isn't it?
It's an 11.
Yeah. Should have got a god involved. C'est la vie.
So I do think that there is sort of at the last, as the others are going on, we're going to start with you. You're going to get 1 glory. But I think at the last there is that moment when all this goes down, is kind of making your way in, when you are caught, and there is, a brief scuffle that you have with some of these priests with these poison knives, and you were going to mark 2 pathos.
Yeah, all the darkness in the world can't hide all this white.
Yeah, those are beautiful flowing golden locks and all that. So Nasus, you are going to get 12 glory.
Yes.
And you're going to get an advantage die of a D10.
Oh, yes.
Toxophone and Melanthios, you are both going to get 6 glory. And for Melanthios, Nasus, it's that you kind of make your way in. There's tunnels under the palace. Toxophone is led by the queen down into them, torchlight, her guards with her. As they head down, you have to follow and sneak and keep to the sides and so on. Toxophone going along, and the queen is saying, this temple, Apollo There are alchemists who have worked there for many generations. And as she's kind of walking along, you can see where there's actually some runoff that runs along the cavern floor, and you can see that it kind of burns along the ground. You worry where this washes out to on the land. And she says, but the alchemists have now found something marvelous. And you will see what we have now that we are able to draw upon. And we will see the all of you come in. Nasa's backside. It's a larger cavern. There are some people in robes that are clearly working with the alchemical concoctions. There are some of the priests there. You will see Hakan is there, who looks over and looks like when he sees the queen with Toxophone, he gets an expression of discord upon his face. But your eyes are not drawn to him, but rather to this enormous serpent. It is there curled. It is maybe 60 meters long. It is thick, tall as a man. You can see as it moves and shifts, its scales kind of change, iridesce, and blend in patterns that seem to draw the eye in an almost hypnotic way. And you can feel how cold this chamber is. And you can see that they are clearly taking the venom from this serpent, and this is what they are using to extend their lives, to maintain their beauty, to make their men powerful, and so on. So Toxophone, while Nasus has the lead, has the advantage die, I think you get, because you are out in the midst of it, to tell me how you begin this battle. Do you wish to try and just kill the men and get out of here, or do you wish to deal with the serpent?
I think that Toxophone will start this battle by looking to the queen and say,
"It is beautiful, is it not?"
Says, yes. It said, it is an incredible sight to behold, and I thank you for showing it to me. But now, like the Furies, I will avenge a son killed by their mother, and I boot her over the ledge down below. Time for some This Is Sparta.
So yeah, is your intent, because there are two potential foes here that you could engage fully. Do you think that your intent is to deal with the serpent and cut the head off of this situation, or is your intent to cut your way through the priests and the alchemists that are here and the queen?
It is definitely Toxophone's intention to punish the queen for what she has done.
All right, then. Here is the situation: is there are priests here, and when the fighting breaks out, there are several things that could happen, threats that need to be dealt with. One, there are a great number of dangerous chemicals and substances around this chamber, which means that they could fill not only this chamber, but could also bleed out into the outside world. These tunnels could carry out, and the poison gases and substances could harm the local population. And the other situation is that your battle here could awaken and disturb the snake, who would wake and thrash, and they've clearly been calmed by the situation here with these people, but this fight could break them up. And if that happens, then it could writhe out and destroy the very foundations of the city itself if it were to thrash and smash through the pillars. So here is the deal. We're going to lash out. Those are the 2 disasters that I'm putting on the table. I could put 2 or 3. I'm putting 2 out on the table. And then each hero is going to determine whether you're going to participate in the contest to defend against the disasters, or join the contest to seize control of the battle and set the domain and stakes the finale. So, Calaxis, do you want to defend, or do you wish to seize control of the battle?
Music soothes the savage beast.
Excellent. Melanthius, do you want to defend, or do you wish to seize control of the battle?
I think Melanthius is going to defend against the threat of this poison. Leaking out poison is, after all, the domain of his mother, and it's something for him to control.
And Nasus?
Mechanically, is there a difference between? So it'd be,
if either of them fail in their defend, then those disasters will be carried out. So you can trust that they are going to do that.
all right.
Or you can not trust and put a third person into the mix on this. But I should probably roll to show you what the difficulty is of this.
Okay.
And this is any domain.
Ooh, not
Wah,
bad.
wah, wah. For those of you at home, I have rolled a 7. The lowest, I rolled a 1, and a 2 for this group, who are, it is perilous and sacred. So do you wish to seize control, or do you wish to defend?
And seizing control will allow me to go into the finale and get more glory.
It will put, if you win that over Toxophone, then you'll get to set the stakes for the finale.
Right.
The winner of the Seize contest determines the domain of the finale contest.
Whether I defend or participate, I'll have to use my D10 roll.
You can save that advantage for this or for finale.
Interesting. Okay, I will participate.
You'll seize control. And Toxophone, I'm assuming that you are here for all of the seizure.
Yes.
You are here to kick queens off of ledges and wreak havoc upon these priests. Let's start with the 2 defense. Calixis, let's have you roll to try and keep this serpent from arising.
Okay, so Silvertongue Calixis will unleash a song of such beauty that he will roll 2d6 plus 1d8. He will spend... I've forgotten. What's the benefit of pathos?
Spend a pathos and you get to invoke a second domain.
And I will invoke the domain of valor, because I'm fronting up a bloody big snake. And I think it is only my... Can I do that more than once?
Yeah, I think so. Because you're still only taking the 2 highest, so yes.
Yeah, okay. I will enter agony and also invoke a d6 of resolve.
Absolutely. Let's see what happens when you enter agony. just because it's where I'm going to engage with that mechanic here. And when you mark your last block of pesos, they enter agony. They can no longer press on. When you enter agony, mark fate. Each mark is permanent. When you would suffer pathos while in agony, mark fate instead. So there's no mechanical, like you're taken out or shaken or anything like that. You just enter that state right now.
And agony will just stay marked. And
if you keep pushing, then you'll get more fate.
Okay. So is it possible? Because I want to get into the fate track.
Okay. You
could I burn my first fate then, in order to also invoke, because I've got arts and narration going, blood and valor, resolve and spirit. I'd quite like to get reason going here.
So you want to spend another pathos, hit your agony, and mark another fate. Okay,
yeah,
that seems reasonable.
Because the first fate has a black dot in it, which I think means I earn a boon.
Yes.
Okay, I'll keep that one on the shelf for now. Okay, and then I am going to cash in divine favor with Hermes to get a D4 for daring, and I'd like to be bolstered by Toxophone, because I'm hoping that the distraction means that the people who grabbed me earlier are going to be pulled away.
Absolutely. Let's have you roll that.
Gee whiz. Okay, so that's 4d6, 2d8, and a d4. Okay, that's 11, 12.
So that is a 12. So your playing will hold this beast in its thrall. It pays only attention to you and does not, but you are right in front of the serpent's head as you do this. I think that's the spending of the pathos, is the fumes of it kind of breathing down on you as you do that. Melanthius, tell me how you stopped the alchemical problem.
Yes, Melanthius, whilst the fight is taking place and the music is soothing the serpent, the shadows around the jars and vats at the side of the room just stir briefly, and amongst the shadows we see Melanthius, his knife in hand, as he cuts open his palm and starts dripping blood into the vessels containing these chemicals and toxins. And he says, by my divine mother's right, all these poisons are part of me, and all of them belong to me, and they shall harm no other person. And I am going to mark a pathos as well. I'm going to roll with resolve and spirit, and I'm going to add in my craft and reason as well. I'm also going to invoke Zeus's authority as I command the elements.
You have 12.
12, yep.
So yes, you are able to keep those in control, keep them from bleeding out. They become neutralized by the blood of your mother in this process. Nasus, how are you fighting against the foes, this mass of priests and alchemists and a wicked queen?
I'm going to cut a bloody path with my spear. In fact, if she gets this is Sparta'd, that I'm going to use her as a stepping stone, leaping off of her body, falling and stabbing into people.
Absolutely slow-mo. Absolutely
yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Okay.
Why not?
Let's have you roll.
Oh, and here's a question too. So
Yeah.
I'm a little confused by this. Am I in competition right now with everybody or just with
No,
Toxophone?
with Toxophone.
Okay. Makes sense. Alrighty. So I think that's blood and valor.
Oh yeah.
Is what I've described. Target number was 7.
7.
That the many-wayed. Add another domain. Do I dare? I dare. I'll add crafts and reason by adding a pathos. And other, I'll use my daring Hermes by leaping into many men when I am but a mortal.
Fair enough.
Which is a D4, right?
If you invoke the divine favor, yes, D4.
Shazam. Roll. It doesn't seem like it triggered it for some reason. Strange. Okay.
Look and see if there's a pop-up that you didn't fill.
I did, but I don't know. I'll just do it again real quick. There we go. Oh, 11.
There's an 11. Nasus, but you are successful in cutting through. Toxophone. Let us see how you deal with this. You're muted.
Toxophone has made her decision that this woman is to kill your own children is a sin upon sin. So I am pure-hearted Toxophone. I'm doing this with blood and valor, but I'm going to spend a point of pathos to bring arts and oration into this. My passions were stirred, and I will tell her that she was unfortunate, for she could have dealt with my friend who shifts like the wind, but instead she faces me, who is the oncoming storm.
Oh.
And I think that'll do. Let's see.
Okay, any divine favor?
Okay, look, let's have the authority of Zeus behind this as well, right?
Yeah.
So that will be 2d6 plus 1d8 plus plus another d6 plus the d4. So that is an 11. So that means we're tied.
That is tied. So there is a thing on ties.
I think it's the overall roll, right?
Let me look here. Because there was something weird. I remember when it was out that are in favor, conflict, bonus dice, just your fortune, outcomes. Roll your name dice to break a die.
Alrighty.
One.
Okay. So right now, and I also need Calixtus and Melianthos to roll their name dice for who amongst the four of you is going to get the highest glory. But then amongst the strife, Nasus is going to set some of the terms here.
And I'm bringing my D10.
So, Melianthos, you are going to get 7 glory. Everyone else is going to get 4 in this shifting scene here. And then we determine this is the contest here. We're going to determine what's at stake for the opponent in the finale. Death, imprisonment, destruction. What do you want as the outcome? And then you also tell us what the domain is of this finale. Nassus, what's at stake? Feel free to consult with your fellows if you need to.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Greek mythology, killing her son pretty bad.
Blood crime.
Yeah.
Yes.
The only thing worse is like trying to trick a god into like eating a person or something, right?
No, the only thing worse is being a bad host.
Oh, snap. Okay. Well,
Rules of
I
hospitality.
didn't get the good wine, lady.
No, we're down into the Furies now. If you've killed your own
Oh yeah.
children,
If she doesn't purify.
Could it be something like, I don't know, a god drags her down to hell or something? That would be cool.
Yeah, you could call upon the Furies right now to drag.
Just turn up
and drag them all away.
That sounds cool. Let's do that.
And what do you want as the domain? Do you want to have this final fight that everybody's going to participate in?
Could it be craft and reason to convince the Furies to take them?
To call out to them? Okay, yeah. Let's do it. So everybody go through, figure out what you want to put in for this, and let's have us have a roll. So Calixus, what are you gonna put towards this?
I think that I think silver tongue will apply here if this is reason.
Yep.
For I shall make the argument. So 2d6 for name and craft and reason, d8 for silver tongued. I will cash in authority with Zeus in order to add a bit of oomph behind it. And I think I will mark another box of fate to be able to include arts and oration. So I think
Perfect.
That's 2d8, 2d6, plus a d4.
Nassus, I'm going to come to you next after this.
Shall I roll? Yes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, please. Absolutely.
Sorry.
We'll get
that is 9, 10.
10. I forgot I need to roll for the bad guys.
Yeah.
Well, I may think again then.
Target numbers are 13.
Oh my god. Okay. Or oh my gods, I guess. Many.
Do you wish to add anything to your roll that you would have knowing that was a 13?
I am just thinking about that.
Please do, because I should have done that beforehand. It is entirely my fault.
I think that I will cash in an extra d4. What have I got so far? 9, 10. Yeah, okay. I'll cash another d4 for knowledge with Apollo to know the correct way to address the Furies. And I will pull in a bolster from my father Zeus.
Okay.
Which I think we said was a d12, didn't we?
If you spend that bond, yeah.
So roll d12 plus 1d4. And let's just hope one or two of these are really high.
Oh.
That is a 13.
So you suffer another 2 pathos.
I hit a boon.
And you need to also spend a divine favor because the foe has the sacred tattoos. So just to tell you on that. Nassus, let's get your roll. And then I'm going to come to Melianthus.
Okay, so small question: what are the Furies?
The Furies are they are divine figures. They're represented in many different ways, but mostly women. Sometimes they almost look like harpies, depending on the depiction. They punish people who commit blood crimes, who kill their kin, who drive them mad, that harry them, that they tear their minds and their bodies.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to use craft and reason to spot a particular weak point in this dome, and I'm going to hurl my spear in it so that the Furies can look on upon them and not be blocked anymore.
Excellent.
Target is 13. I'm going to use some pathos here and get
Don't forget
blood
your
and
D10.
valor. I think makes sense.
Okay.
And I will use, yes, the 1d10 here. I think I'm gonna need it. And I will call in, I think it's daring to do this with Hermes.
Sure.
Shazam, let's go, let's go. 13.
Prevails, but just barely. We'll come back to you in a second. Ophicalypsis, you get to mark a glory. Melanthius, let's see your roll. What are you doing?
Yeah, so Melanthius's hand still drips blood from where he just cut it, and he drips that blood onto the floor, making a the rough image of a doorway, of a portal, an arch, on the floor in front of him, and he calls out, "Mother, I spill our mingled blood and call out to you to bring the attention of the Furies upon this woman and judge that she may be judged for the crime she has committed." And I am going to mark a point of pathos to bring my resolve and spirit into this.
Okay.
I'm going to call upon the fortitude of Poseidon to steal me through this bloodletting, and I am going to spend my bond with Hecate.
Go big or go home.
Exactly.
Dislike.
Yeah, that's an 18.
18. Toxophone, tell me about your role.
Toxophone grabs the queen and looks over to the vat or the barrel of the wine and say, "Seems fitting, is it not, that you should die in the poison that you killed your own son? And I am being pure-hearted, the not craft and reason. That's the cunning there." But I am also going to, as I say, spend a point of pathos to bring this to blood and valor, because this is how blood was spilled. I am invoking here the fortitude of Poseidon and spending my bond for my favor of my mother.
Perfect.
Invoking her name. We don't like people who do bad things to kids in our family. It doesn't go down. Bang. So that will be a 20.
That will be a 20. So in this call out, Calixtus, you invoke the words, but even as you're doing that, you're probably hit by the priest. The Hakan comes at you, blazing. You take that hit, but you've said the words. Nasus, you throw your spear and you launch it, and there'll be that crack of light that we'll see come down, and we can know that the eye of the Furies are down here. Melanthius invokes the ground will rumble as that call is made, and then even as they begin to manifest they're hard to see. They shriek, they move about. We see Toxophone fling Queen Naya into this, and even as she's writhing in this barrel of poison, the Furies grab that and fly away with it, keeping her in that, even as they carry her away, as they tear through. And then there is just the stillness afterwards, as the alchemists, the cult, the queen, all gone, and the serpent slumbers. And that is where we will take up. We'll talk about the fate of the island next time and do the aftermath. I would, if you don't mind, like to take a couple minutes for some stars and wishes here for the end of session, just so we get that recorded, if everyone's okay with that.
We'll do glory next time.
No, I'm going to tell you glory right now.
Oh.
Toxophone, 13 glory. Nassus Melianthus, 7 glory. Calaxus suffered so much. His fate burnt, his candle, just 1.
Great heights, great lows.
Yes. Yeah, you had great heights last time, certainly. So let's do just a quick stars and wishes, things you want to see next time, or questions about the system, stars, things you dug. Alan, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rather liking this system. I think the idea of contest, it's really tricky, isn't it? Because there's a bit PvP in this, but I think the contests are neat. It feels like you're against the objective, but at the same time, it engenders that kind of Greek myth, hero nudging against hero thing. And yeah, I mean, I think we got some great heroes going. So, stars all round for that. And yeah, as always, Lowell, it flows like a dream.
I'm very happy with this game. It is, for my money, much stronger than I imagined it was going to be. But yeah, so Fraser, things you want to say?
Yeah, I really like the level of crunch. You got a lot of different things that you can play with and twist the knobs on and figure out. And yeah, at first I was like, oh man, you can do all these, you can just cash in all this stuff. This is going to be easy. And then I kept losing, and then I was like, oh, I guess I got to try harder. I had crazy amount of notches on my divine favor, and now I'm down to 4 because I was just like, cash it in. I think I got to do even more than 1 sometimes, because sometimes those D4s are only 1s, and that's no good. But yeah, I like the crunch. The story is awesome. I still have to get a little bit better, I think, with thinking about it as a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's great. I love it.
I will say I'm always nervous about games that have like an economy, whether my number of rolls per game or per session is going to fit with the economy here. And I think this is closer to my style matching up with what they assume than some other games that I've played. Melianthius, let's get your stars or wishes.
Yes, stars all around for everyone. Was really good session. Again, I really liked I liked seeing both. I liked seeing the moment where Toxophone takes charge in there was great. But also I really liked seeing kind of Toxophone coming up against something that she thought was going to be quite straightforward, and she could kind of stick to her guns, and then realize it was a little more complex. And it was really nice to see her put in that position. So that was really nice work there, Dave, on that. Nassus, I love seeing the scrappy mortal amongst all the demigods is brilliant, and I really like the way you're sort of taking that and running with it is brilliant. I love seeing I love seeing, I'm blanking on names again.
Calixtus?
Alan Calixtus, yes. I love seeing Calixtus's trying to kind of keep everything smooth over, and you, like I said, sort of the more going with the flow, going with the wind approach. But yeah, it's just seeing those sort of like trying to twist things to advantage and stuff is really nice, and also really kind of going to town on the system as well to see how it works. I was also thinking, the fate looks kind of cool, but seems a little. I think you have to really push for it to get there. It's definitely it seems like a fairly stiff lever to pull, shall we say? And yeah, Lol, I think just the way
I would differ on that view. I slid down that fate track rather quicker than I planned.
But yeah, and Lol, I think you've done a really good job of like teaching the system and keeping things moving nicely. Some great setups and sort of adapting to the what we're doing and how it's going has been really nice. And as I said, I think I've been rambling, but no, I think the system is really interesting. I like it. It's got some. You can definitely see that Blade's DNA in there, but it's a much more elegant game.
Mm-hmm.
It really feels like it really just like I said, it basically says, here are your levers, here are your economies, have fun with them, and that's it basically. And so it's really interesting and has generated some really interesting scenes and really interesting stories. So yeah.
I want to say I loved the arc of the characters from this session, from last session to this one. Like it was really neat. I felt like the characters moved forward a couple of steps, and I saw more. Taxophone, I'm going to give you last word on Stars and Wishes here.
Look, stars for all the characters, because this does feel like a crew of Argonauts, right? We've all got our own strengths and our legends that we are building. I think that this is like to the upper limit of crunch for me in a game, and I suppose it's still there's proper cases with sometimes with John Harper games where, and you have to sort of stop, and then we're counting what our dice are going to be like. We're playing Magic the Bloody Gathering, and you stop role playing for a minute. That sometimes is a little, and I think as you were getting clearer to what the system does, that's happening fast. It's good. I was really pleasantly surprised by the downtime phase, because I bloody well hate it in Blades in the Dark, and this felt like it really, it's rewarding, and the characters building, and you said it felt like a neat sort of what's the name of the phase in Good Society. It felt like more like that. They were there to build the characters and push the story on, so that was really neat. Like my wish, man, guys, we got to name the boat. It can't just be the boat.
That's right.
Let's get back on the boat. We're great heroes. It's got to have some sort of legendary name. Because other than that, I think it's been great. I think we're getting our head around the system, and I agree with what Dave was saying, that you're teaching it really well, because there are a lot of moving bits, and I always applaud people pushing at the system so we can figure out what's happening. Poor Alan. We'll miss Galaxis.
Oh my!
Section 3, it all goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, I'll read the section on making a new hero for next time. Okay.
I think next time might be very quiet. Very quiet.
This is dynamite for me. I had a great time running it. So I will see everybody next week. I'm going to stop the recording.